Welcome to our 2024 Qigong Intensive. I've done this the last few years. Welcome back if you've done it before. If not, what have you got yourself into? Well, just the next 5 days, we'll be doing a Qigong practice, very general, low-key Qigong practice based on this idea of traditional Chinese medicine and Qigong practice itself being an active choice for health and happiness, bringing our body into balance and harmony with nature, with the world around us, with the people in our family and our community. So in Chinese medicine, the idea is when you're out of balance, then your health maybe dips. And when you come back into balance, you bring your body and mind together and maybe find some kind of ease and calm in your life. And we're going to do one element of Chinese medicine for each of the 5 days. Today, we're going to start the season of summer. Right now, in the Southern Hemisphere, is the fire element. And fire element is kind of special because you have 4 different meridians. Most elements have 2 meridians. But fire element is special. Heart is the most important organ because it starts beating even before we're born. And when it stops beating, that's the very definition of the end of our life. So it is the most important organ in the body, and we'll treat it as such today. So we'll just start. You might like to bring your arms down by the side of the body and just take a breath in. You might like to lift the hands and welcome in new learning, new energy, new ideas. And at the top of the breath, turn the palms and see if you can let go. Anything you need to. Might be last week's Christmas lunch. We're going to inhale again, welcoming in. And then letting go any fixed ideas, fixed sense of identity or self. We're going to today try and be a little kind of beginner's mind, childlike. See if we can experience things as if we've never done them before, with wonder, with curiosity. Let's bring our hands together. Create a little bit of heat. We'll start just by warming up a few of our joints. Just let your wrist be really loose. You might like to just follow my hand movements. Heart meridian ends at the very tip of your little finger. So see if you can become a little aware of your little finger. Don't use it too much. I'll start with a Taoist story. Let's roll the wrists. This is the story of the contented fisherman. So once a businessman went on holiday on an island, and as he was getting off the boat, he saw a fisherman with his feet up. And he couldn't resist. He had to go up and he said to the fisherman, "What are you doing? Why you got your feet up? You should be out catching fish, and aren't you a fisherman?" And the fisherman said, "Well, I caught all I needed this morning. I only took about 10 minutes and I got enough." The businessman couldn't let this go. He said, "But why don't you just go out again and get more fish, and then you could buy a bigger boat?" The fisherman said, "Why would I do that?" The businessman said, "Well, with the bigger boat, you could go deeper out into the water, get more fish, buy many boats, have a whole team of boats, and then you could buy a new house." Fisherman said, "Well, but why would I do that? I already have a house." Businessman says, "You could fill the house with everything you desire. Do whatever you want." Fisherman, of course, says, "What do you think I'm doing right now?" I always love that story. All right, let's come up to stand. So you've probably noticed our fire element is about contentment, about mind and body coming together. Let's start by just taking our attention under the feet. You might like to just sway, maybe press into the toes. Let's explore this sense of yin and yang. Everything in life has yin and yang. Might think of it as high and low, long and short, rich and poor, anything you like. Everything is always moving. And our Qigong practice itself is all about our ability to change and adapt, not be stuck, not be static. The world will always change around us. You might like to lift all 10 toes off the ground, place them back down. And see if you can rock into the toes and then back to the heels. Not a big movement. Notice if you stop breathing when you do this. See if you can tuck in your chin and feel the back of the neck long, crown of the head lifting up. So what we're doing now is we're getting a sense of our chi, our kind of energy levels. You might think of it as your life force. Gung is the word for work. So we're working with our energy, working with our life force. How am I feeling today? You might not be in the mood at all. Well done if so, for coming to practice. All right, let's take our hands to hips and we might just lift one heel and then the other heel. Just notice how weight is shifting. Keep breathing. Let's roll our hips. Changing direction. Let's roll our shoulders. Seeing what we can notice about our body on this day. Let's take one arm down the side, roll the ear down towards the shoulder. And we'll go up, take a new breath. Same on the other side. Let's keep going side to side. Let the body slowly open. And we'll come back to the center. So we'll do a couple of acupressure points for our fire element. First one we'll do is called Shen Men. If you trace up from your little finger to where your finger ends and your wrist crease is, there's a natural little indent behind the bone there. See if you can press in with the opposite thumb, flat of your thumb. You might like to roll the wrist a little bit. So this is our spirit gate. It's heart number 7. I'm sure some of you would have had acupuncture before, but this is an acupressure point. Just notice how you feel when you connect with this part of the body. And if you don't notice anything, that's okay too. We'll take a few breaths. And let's go to the other side. We'll do both sides. So trace up a little finger till you get right to the end where the wrist crease is. You might like to roll the wrist a little. Don't need to press in too hard. Just bring your attention underneath the thumb. Our heart meridian starts in the tip of our finger, runs up the inside line of our arm, right to essentially our armpit. Bring our thigh element into balance. We feel connection, we feel community, we feel supported. When out of balance, we tend to have insomnia or scattered thoughts, not able to focus too well. So maybe just notice where you are on this day. Every day is different. All right, we'll do another one. This one is on our conception vessel meridian that runs down the center line of our body, right in between the nipples, on the middle of your sternum. There's a point called CV17, conception vessel number 17. We're going to find it by bringing our palms together and knuckles right into the middle of the sternum. Press palm into palm. And elbows can be wide, drop the shoulders down. And see if you can just find your breath once you're in this shape, palms pressing inwards. Allow the next breath to come, give it all the time it needs. Allow the next breath to go. Mind spends a lot of its day thinking about things that are missing, things it needs or wants, but essentially we bring our fire element into balance by just honoring what we have. So you might like to take a moment to just acknowledge with gratitude something about your life. It might just be, I have a roof over my head, or I have a glass of water on the table. You can make it as simple as that if you like. Food in the fridge or not. All right, let's shake it out. So our Qigong practice itself is going to be quite simple today. We're going to do 4 fire element forms. And I thought I'd keep the intensive really simple this year. So nothing that we haven't done before in Qigong practice, but also just simple so maybe you can remember some of these forms and come back to them. So the first form we're going to do, we're going to step our legs together and see if you can just take a deep sigh, sink down, and one of our legs is going to stay where it is. And we're going to take the other leg, bend that knee, keep all your sensation or all your attention going down, and then take the other leg out. So we're still keeping our head balanced over the one standing leg. Now we're going to see if we can have this leg go flat to the floor. And when it's flat, then we shift our weight so that we're stacked over both legs. Let's come back where we just came from. And then we'll slowly draw the leg back in. Back to the center, we're going to switch. So now this leg becomes our substantial or solid leg. Take our other foot out, just the foot, not shifting our weight. We're not teapotting like this. When it's flat on the floor, then you come back to the center or shift your weight. Now roll back to the center, and then we're going to step back. So this is this act. Just have another go from side to side. We want all our energy to be sinking, not lifting. Keep breathing. As soon as you're back in the center, change your side, shift your weight. Notice if you've stopped breathing. We want our breath to be effortless. Arms heavy by the side of the body. All right, so our first form is going to utilize this way of moving the legs. Let's add in our arms now. So we're going to step one leg out, just like we did, shift our weight. Now both arms will come up by the side of the body. Pause the breath to bring the arms in front of the body, and then sigh out, feeling of sinking. Let's lift up again. Pause the breath, and sigh out. All right, so we're going to do, we'll just keep adding to this form as we go. Let's do the same again. Sinking, stepping out, opening, pausing the breath. I know sometimes it looks like arms are going above the shoulder, but keep your elbows and shoulders heavy. Just the angle of the camera, and we'll come back to the center. All right, we'll add a few more things now. Next time we step out, we'll keep doing the same side. We're going to look towards that direction. So we step out, we look out, arms come up, breathing in, pause the breath, follow the hands with your eyes, and then we sink down. And now we're going to switch and look back towards the center, towards the other hand. Pause the breath, shifting our weight back to the center, stepping back, sighing out. Let's try the other side. Let's step out. Inhale, look outwards. Pause the breath. Sink down. Look back towards the center as you take your next breath. Pause the breath. Shift the weight. Sigh out. All right, I'm going to stop cueing and just see if you can trust your intuition to take you to the next movement. If you notice your face is suddenly scowling in concentration, you might like to take another little smile. Notice this feeling of always returning to center. Concept in Chinese medicine is one of homeostasis, trusting that nature returns to balance without any effort. I'll do one more with the cue this time, just in case you've lost some of it. Sinking down, shifting weight. Inhaling, lifting. Pause the breath, follow the fingers, sigh out. Turn your chin back towards the center. Pausing the breath again, shifting the weight, sighing out. One more time. Bring our hands back onto the body. You might like to take feet underneath the hips. Returning to stillness, you might say, I have arrived or I am home. Maybe this is my goal. All right, let's do another form. Arms down by the side of the body. A little bit simpler, this one. We're going to cross our palms, cross our wrists, not touching. Lift up, take a breath in. Make sure your fingers stay in the periphery of your body as you extend them out. Turn the palms down, sink down, sighing out, emptying out. Inhale, lifting again. At the top of the breath, just holding and then sighing out. So with this form, we're connecting with two more acupressure points. This is our points on our pericardium meridian. Pericardium is our heart protector, like a layer of bubble wrap that wraps around your heart and protects it from shock. Remembering it's the most important of all organs. So you might like to just take your attention to the wrists or the middle of the palm. So these are 2 points on our pericardium, our Laogun point and our Negun point. I'll show them to you in a moment. You might notice as you lift up that the points are reaching or lifting towards the sky. And then as you turn your palms, the points are returning to the earth. Let each breath come and go without any effort. Spine stays long. Notice how stable and steady your lower body feels. Can we be the tree that provides shade to those around us? The constancy amid whatever chaos life invites. You might like to just keep your attention on the fingers so they're always within the vision. We're not pulling our arms behind the body. Let's bring our palms back onto the center of gravity in our body. This is called our dantian. And just like before, inviting stillness not as a pause, but as a destination. All right, so those two acupressure points I mentioned, our Laogong point is right in the middle of your palm. If you take your longest finger, curl it in, and right where it touches, a little bit different on everyone's body, is our Laogong point. So when we do Qigong, you might feel like Laogong point is connecting with our dantian, that might be connecting with the earth, grounding, giving us stability, or it might be opening to the sky, the heavens, if you like. So just notice this Laogong point during your practice. And the other one is our Neigong point. So it's 3 finger widths above the wrist crease. So it's kind of here. And my favorite way of connecting with the Neigong point is to stack the wrists. So one is turned in, one is turned out. And just take your attention there. See if you can relax the shoulders, the elbows. You might feel a little bit, one hand is pulling in, the other is pushing out. Just bring all your attention to these points. So this is a point for calm and ease. Next time you feel panicked or overwhelmed, you might like to just bring these points together. Take a few breaths. And then I like to roll my wrists one over the other. Just have a play with it. Be a little bit childlike. Beginner's mind has many possibilities. Expert mind has few possibilities. Move away from cleverness and move towards experience. Can you find something fresh, something new in a movement like this? Trusting our body knows what to do. Our body knows how to heal. So maybe you don't feel any sense of calm, but if you do, just take notice. This is available to you any time of the day, whenever things feel a bit too intense. All right, let's shake out our wrists. So our third form, very famous Qigong and Tai Chi form called cloud hands, or sometimes cloudy hands by the lake. And we'll break it down a little bit. We're going to start with this, which is our hips. Now, in Tai Chi, they will tell you that the hips are the steering wheel of the body. If we don't have direction, then we just end up repeating the same habits again and again. Nothing changes. So in order to make change, we need to have a direction. And our direction is embodied in our hips. You would think it would be in our feet or knees or shoulders or something else, but it's in our hips. So we're going to start by, to learn this form, we're going to take our hands behind the back. And you can just rest them however you like. You can take hand in hand, or you can do some upside down prayer hands at the base of your spine if you like. And what we want to do is shift our weight onto one leg and roll shoulder and hip back as far as they want to go. And then come back to the center, shift your weight to the other leg, roll shoulder and hip back. And see if you can get your shoulder and hip to move the same amount. So we're not doing like a big exaggerated shoulder movement. We're trying to connect our shoulder and our hip. So when your hip stops, your shoulder stops. Just have a play with it. Now, there shouldn't be any pressure on your knees or your ankles. So if there is, you might have just pushed a bit beyond, or you might be turning your shoulder more than your hip. Another good thing to do here is keep your chin right in line with your chest. So you're not trying to look over the shoulder. Mind always wants more. See if you can just bring your attention in. And then I just invite you to notice your breath. Maybe you've stopped breathing. So this one, we just let our breath come and go. Don't have to be in sync with the movements. Hip and shoulder moving together. In Tai Chi, they call this one of the external harmonies. All right, so we're going to add our hands in. Remembering hands are always want this, want that. We try and bring our hands into harmony with the body. So we're not doing big, exaggerated movements with the arms. We're trying to keep our hand and heart connection. So well, let's just do the top arm for the start. We're going to the same movement as before, and your hand stays connected with your heart the whole way. And then when we get to the end, we're going to switch, and we're going to come back the other way. Chin, center of the chest. Keep breathing. Fingers are just relaxed. Thumb relaxed. The word in Qigong for relax is Song, S-O-N-G. And to be Song means to, I think in Western world, relaxation is mostly about, collapsing on the couch when you relax. But in Qigong, it's not about collapsing, or it's more about just release of effort, release of tension. So when you're in Song, your breath will just come and go. The movement will become effortless. And we'll talk a bit more about effortlessness in Qigong in the next few days. But today, just see if you can find your Sung. You'll notice, just like before, our lower body is heavy and stable, trunk of the tree. Our upper body is yielding, accepting, allowing, not resisting. All right, let's do the full form. So now we're going to add our second hand in. Our second hand is going to be down at that level of our dantian. And again, it's just moving with the hip and shoulder. When they stop moving, this is when our palms switch. Notice if your movement is feeling robotic or stiff, just try and relax the shoulders, the elbows, the jaw. Allow the breath to come and go. I like to think of this cloud hands form as clouds are at the level of the heart, And our head is above the clouds, just like we're flying on a plane, looking down on the top of the clouds. We all know that feeling if we've been on a plane. Feeling of stillness. Who am I? What is the part of me that never changes no matter what happens to me? Whatever trauma, whatever stress, whatever ailment or illness, heartbreak, tragedy. What is the part of me that never changes? And when you're ready, let's bring our palms back to the dantian. Do one more form today, and we'll go back to the first form that we were doing, that idea of stepping out from the center. I love the idea with fire element that there's always ups and downs, and our challenge in life is to have a practice that returns us to the center, returns us to balance, reminds us of who we are. So this physical act of stepping out, returning to center is such a way to embody this idea of there's always ups and downs, and we're just like a ship on the ocean. Whenever we have a down day, inevitably up is coming just around the corner. So we'll bring our arms heavy by the side, and we're going to step out just like we did before. So sink down through one side. You can just mirror me. And we're going to this time draw our knuckles together and roll them up. Roll through the knuckles until the tips of our fingers and thumb are all together. And then just like a lotus flower blooming, we're going to open out, take our arms out wide. Now we're going to shift our weight back to the center and sigh out. Let's just keep going with this one. Let's take our time, shifting the weight onto the other leg, stepping out. Draw the knuckles together. Roll up through the center line of the body, opening out. Weight shifts back to the center, float that leg back. Energy is down, heavy. Keep going side to side. Find your own rhythm with your breath. And you find a fluidity in the movement. Let's do one more each side. Hands come back onto the body. When you're ready, you might like to take the feet back to shoulder width apart. And we're just going to let our back of our knees be soft and just let our whole body relax. So without even any effort, you should start to feel muscles, ligaments, tendons, joints, all just slowly letting go of any tension, any tightness. I like to think of this one as just like what my dog does when she's just been in the dam on a hot day and just letting every part of her body be loose and free in a way that we don't really do much as humans. Always have some degree of tension in our body. And then you might like to just let the arms be heavy, and we're just going to roll shoulder and hip back again. Let's bring our fingers up to the top of our chest, and we'll tap. We'll come down the sternum. And we'll take our hands to the belly, to the lower back. And now let's tap down the outside of our legs. Head can be heavy. And just take a deep sigh. You might like to ragdoll and sway a little side to side. When you're ready, just let the spine curl up. Press into the feet. Take your time, curling back up. Head comes up last of all. And then we'll roll our shoulders. And we'll draw hands together at heart center. You might find that CV17 point in English, usually called the Sea of Tranquility. And just feel your knuckles connect with that point, palm coming into palm, energy towards center of the body, heart center. You might like to just take a moment to acknowledge with gratitude and humility your choice to practice today. So your gratitude might just be to the ancient wisdom of Qigong, or just to ourselves for our choice to be here. Now, we're going to finish with a little meditation, but we will bow first. And then, if you don't mind, we're just going to come down to the ground and just take a moment in stillness. So my New Year's resolution this year, not a resolution, an intention, is just to spend a few minutes in silence, stillness, with what Deepak Chopra calls the 3 questions that matter. So you might like to join me. First question is, what am I doing right at the moment? Let's take a moment with that one. Let's see where your mind takes you. What am I doing right at the moment? And the second question is, what's not working so well at the moment? What's not working so well? Just let your mind wander. And the third and last question is very simple. What will my next step be? Keep it simple, just the next step. Doesn't have to be an end goal. Might just be what else you'll do today, or just maybe as simple as doing more of what's right and less of what's not working. Just that. What will my next step be?